So I expect, especially now, there to be massive, massive moves, probably from our UK side of what's going to happen. Because remember, Johnson put, even though the EU has said the deadline is end of October, Johnson has said that by mid October, if there's nothing sorted out, then it's no deal. Which, again, is trying to pin the blame on the EU, but this is clearly not the fault of the EU throughout all these negotiations. We've talked about that it is not the fault of the UK, of the EU, shall we say. It is the UK making ridiculous demands. For example, we've just done that trade deal with Japan and state aid rules. At the moment, we are, again, one of the sticking points in the negotiation with the EU and state aid rules. The one we just signed with Japan signs us to stricter state aid rules than what the EU are proposing. That makes us look absolutely ridiculous on this. So what I fully expect, especially now Michael Gove has gone to Brussels, I fully expect, as we see here from in the Yorkshire bylines, a complete climb down to happen. And there has to be a climb down. And it is going to be by us. But once again, this is going to be celebrated by Brexiteers as, oh, look, we've done a deal. We made Brussels blink. Yada, yada, yada. And it's not. It's going to be a massive climb down. So, into the article. So, this is from the Yorkshire Bylines, and it's Gove travels to Brussels to begin the climb down. The fact that Cabinet Office Minister Michael Gove is accompanying Lord Frost, chief UK negotiator, to Brussels this week for the 9th round of talks says everything. Gove is said to be representing the UK at more joint committee talks about the unresolved issues on the Northern Irish border, but make no mistake, crunch time is coming as Brexit finally collides with reality. And we've been saying that for quite some time. So, optimistic noises coming out of Downing Street in the last few days, with both the Times and the Financial Times reporting the unnamed UK government sources predicting that a deal will be within touching distance, have been completely rebuffed and met with stony faces in Brussels. The usually reliable European editor at the Irish broadcaster RTE, Tony Connolly, claims that two sources in the EU have now told him that during last week's informal talks in London, Frost pressed harder for negotiations to enter the so-called tunnel. This is the stage where both sides agree to a blackout of press briefings and where the real horse trading begins before the deal is finally agreed. The fact is that Britain doing the pressing reveals is just how desperate the government is to secure a deal. Barnier has apparently refused the request to enter the tunnel until the UK has made visible progress on the level playing field issues and fisheries. The EU has apparently expected concessions last week, but nothing was forthcoming. Johnson's self-imposed deadline is now, as expected, working against him. The government is ill-prepared for a no-deal exit, as Gove himself outlined in Parliament just last week. And the disruption in Kent could include a queue of up to 7,000 HGVs with traffic across the channel reduced to just 20 to 40% of normal levels. EU leaders have also made it clear that they see the EU summit in mid-October as Johnson's deadline, not theirs, and they are prepared to wait until the end of October. The UK government is desperate to get into the tunnel, but the price of getting the agreement to do so is to make concessions on state aid, fisheries, and the level playing field, the issues of concern to the EU. Hence, Gove is on his way to Brussels, where he will find Barnier holding all the cards. So expect retreats discussed in the costume of advances and the capitulation appearing in the guise of triumph. But make no mistake, Britain is headed for the worst of all possible worlds. We will be tied to Brussels rules on state aid as well as environmental and employment issues through a separate dispute resolution mechanism rather than the European Court of Justice, though in practice the decisions will be virtually identical. Our fishermen will be betrayed once more by exporters and exporters will drown in a sea of paperwork and extra costs. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Trade deals with the USA and others will never make up for the trade lost with the EU, and customers will see prices rise, quality fall, and choices restricted. In the next few weeks, what Brexit actually means will start to become very crystal clear. And that is the state of play where we are at the moment. But I fully expect, probably within the next, I'm doing this on Wednesday, so this is probably coming out on Friday. So I fully expect something to happen by the end of this week. So you may be getting 2 videos today from me rather than 1. You may be getting more. We'll have to see. But yeah, it's just an absolute, as always, an insane time. But we told you about this at the start of this year. There will have to be a climb down, and we've said it before, European climbing down, because it will not, absolutely not, jeopardise the single market and its integrity just for the UK. It has been crystal clear on that from day one. As soon as the Brexit referendum was announced, it said, this is what's going to happen, these are our rules, this is what is in play. And it has been clear on those since day one. And remember, the Japan deal, it makes us look like complete fools. Why on earth are we signing up to stricter state aid rules with Japan, but the EU's state aid rules, which are less stricter than the ones we've just signed up to with Japan, why are we so in a disagreement with them? It just makes us look absolutely, completely and utterly ridiculous. But as always, I highly suspect that this is the Brexiteers trying to push their long-held belief that this is their chance to, inflict, shall we say, and finally impose Singapore on the Thames, which we've talked about before, which is the complete deregulation of the UK in all areas, be it financial, farming, whatever you name it, just so that, a couple of extra millionaires can make, a couple of thousand extra pounds. And more, even worse, this opens us up to disaster capitalism on a massive scale. A massive scale. If a no deal gets proclaimed in October, this is just an absolute failure on the part of Boris Johnson, who ran on an election platform to get a deal. He has failed to get a deal, and many, Conservatives MPs ran on that platform, and they've just failed. I'd say it's, incompetent. It's typical Tory incompetence, but at the moment, I'd say that's an insult to incompetent people, because at least incompetent people do show at least some level of incompetence of, and it's completely a bizarre thing, because as we've already said, the Brexiteers deal in fantasies, not in the real world practical, complications of what Brexit would bring, which was what we have been shouting about since the referendum and the continuing 4 years since that on this channel. And I make no bones that, people often say I should get stuff printed on t-shirts, but if I were to have t-shirts, I would just have one of just a picture of a wall with reality, and a car with with Boris Johnson in, and all these other Brexiteers with Brexit written on like the license plate of the car, just completely crashing into the wall. And You know, we've said it before and we will say it again on this channel. When Brexit meets reality, reality always wins. So, with that, thank you very much. Please do hit that like and share button. It does help out the channel massively. And of course, if you are new, please do hit that subscribe button. And below, there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link, should you like to support the channel in that way as well. So, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next time.